Obviously disappointed in the outcome. Weather, major issue for both offenses. Rain, wind. I felt like first half, more normal football. Probably wasn't raining quite as hard, although it rained fairly hard throughout. But I think the balls, we had tons of footballs, and I think the balls were fairly dry in the first half. I think as the game went on, I think we checked in 50 footballs or something ridiculous. We usually do 6, but I think as the game went on, it made it more difficult to whip it around a little bit. Knew it was going to be low scoring. We talked about it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be a low opportunity. Turnovers were going to be critical. And if you had an opportunity to put points on the board, you had to do it just because you didn't feel like either team, with those conditions would have a ton of offensive scoring chances. Getting a lead was critical. Obviously, the second drive of the game, we misfit a quarterback run, and the Ritter kid gets outside, and we knew how fast he was, and he turns it into a 39-yard run, which obviously was their most explosive play of the day by far. And they set up their first score, so it's 7-0. I felt like the rest of the first half, we kind of settled in. I felt like they really didn't have many chances. We got the ball down their head, had Homer down the middle, had a chance running wide open, maybe for 7. If not 7, it's going to be down inside the 10 or the 5. He's running wide open, and we don't get it to him. And then we have another opportunity in the second quarter. We got a good punt return set up, and we got Kenny Young with the ball, and we end up – we barely touch the guy, but we get a clipping penalty. Instead of having the ball in their 33, 1st and 10 on the 33, we're back on our 42, and that was a huge, again, an opportunity in a night where there wasn't going to be many opportunities, an opportunity lost. Defense continues to settle in. Cincinnati, we knew it was going to run it 50 times, whether it was sun or rain, so I don't know that their game plan was affected too much by the conditions because they ran it 50 sometimes a week before when they were out in California. It was dry and sunny. So they kind of did exactly what we thought they would do. Third quarter, we got another opportunity. Got a guy behind him with a chance for a touchdown and don't connect on the play, which, again, would have tied the score at 7. We get another opportunity. Their quarterback, again, we knew the weather was going to be a factor. Their quarterback tries to throw a little pass to the flat, and it slips out of his hands due to the weather, and that was the opportunities you need on a night like that. And there's 2 Miami guys there, and there's no one else within 10 yards of the ball but our 2 guys. And one guy tries to dive on it, one guy tries to scoop and score. The ball's on the 12. We kind of kick it around. A couple other guys try to dive on. Next thing you know, their quarterback gets back on it. And again, another opportunity for us that we didn't cash in on, and then they cash in on their opportunity. We throw a pass to Jack, and really nice play by their corner on the pass breakup and deflects the ball. It ricochets off their mic right to their free safety, and next thing you know, they got the ball on the 2-yard line. We're down 14-0. So through 3 quarters, it's obviously a very, very tight, low-scoring game. I felt like we had more opportunities than they did. They had one drive where they got down in there and came away with points. And then we didn't have many opportunities, but the few ones we had, we don't cash in on. And then they get their turnover. We don't get our turnover. And then by the time the fourth quarter rolled around, you're down 14, and the wind's whipping and raining. The balls aren't coming out of anybody's hands very good at that point, and hard to come back. So felt good about the defensive effort, really disappointing the second drive of the game. The only time we really let the quarterback get on the loose, we knew he could hurt us. He hurt UCLA bad with his legs, and we got him. He got the corner, and he showed how fast he was, and we chased him down. But that kind of was a bad drive for us. The second drive after that, our defense really didn't yield anything till the last drive of the game. So did better things. I thought our offense competed. I thought we moved it. It wasn't like we had tons of 3-and-outs. We'd kind of move it, but we couldn't sustain anything against a really strong Cincinnati defense. And like I said, we didn't cash in on our few opportunities we had that we needed to cash in on. So interesting night. Obviously, weather, major factor. It was, I've been in rainstorms like that for short periods of time. Usually when it rains that hard, it rains and then it lets up. And it was kind of the story of the night was going to be limited opportunities. Try to get a lead. If you don't get a lead, you better cash in when you have a chance. And the few chances we had to produce points, we didn't do it. So,
all right, questions? Did you see anything in the films yesterday or whenever you watched them that you didn't realize right after the game?
No, not really. I mean, I knew the 1 second drive. I mean, defensively, I knew the second drive. I knew what happened on the one play. We came underneath a block, and we didn't see the scheme, and we didn't fit it up right. And after that, we held them to 150 yards for the rest of the game on a lot of possessions. Offensively, there wasn't anything more. I thought we maybe ran it a little better, and we could have ran it a little bit more during the game. But if you watch the flow of the game in its entirety again, I mean, you're down 7, and again, if we had a bunch of 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, I'd say okay. But we were moving. We get a first down, we get another first down. So the other factor I think too was special teams in the second half. We were plus 18 in hidden yardage in the first half, and we should have been plus 60 if we don't get that clip. That would have been we would have probably been over half a field plus, and we'd have had the ball in the 33. And on a night like that, obviously the kicking game with the wind and the rain is important, just like every other part of the game. So we had a very solid first half special teams. We had two field-changing punts where we flipped the field nicely on 2 punts, and we should have had a game-changing return, and we make a mistake and get a clip on it. Second half, we were like minus 60-something hidden yardage, which again, we're down 7. And you lose close to 3/4 of a field position, and we didn't kick it as good. They kicked it good. They kicked it away from Kenny in the second half and got a couple nice rolls, but they were trying to kick it away. They kicked it to the wide field, and Kenny couldn't. They weren't that high in that deeper kick, so he couldn't get over there. And then they got a couple nice rolls, and we did not kick it as good. We kicked it really nice in the first half, and then we didn't kick it as good in the second half. So losing that field position on a game where you knew field position was going to be critical, which I think we had a nice advantage in the first half and should have had a huge advantage. And then the second half, they kind of flipped it on us, and we were continually on long fields, and they were not on as long a field.
Obviously, it's been 13 years since Miami's been able to beat UC. It's been a while since Miami's beaten OU. What would you have to say to fans that are maybe getting restless and ready for a win over a rival?
Yeah, no, they should be. If they're fans, they should be restless. That's what I'd say. Like, they should be disappointed. I mean, you got 2 rivals that you haven't beaten in a while, and obviously they're good teams, but we've played some close games with them, and so I think fans should be fans, and if they're restless and disappointed, that's what I would be. So trust me, we're not. They're no more frustrated or disappointed than we are. So it's a big deal to play UC. It's a big deal the battle for the bell, and trying to win that game and find a way to win that game is obviously very important.
Do you think more emphasis needs to be put on these rivalry games, or do you want to just treat them the same as everyone else?
No, I think we do put more emphasis on them. I mean, not that this week it's Minnesota, and it's not necessarily a rivalry game, so okay, it's not a big deal. Trust me, you try to emphasize every game, but we talk about UC a lot all year round. We talk about UC, certainly UC week and the history of it and the tradition of it, and then obviously OU's a conference game, so there's crazy magnitude to that one when you add in the fact that it's, the last couple of years it's been an important game in the battle for the conference race. So you add that, there's a lot at stake in both of those.
How much do you feel lack of discipline, penalties, mental toughness has played a role in your first 2 losses?
Yeah, I think this year we've come out of the chute good as far as mental discipline and toughness. You're not going to play. We played 197 snaps the first game. You're not going to play, but we've turned the ball over once in 2 games, and one of the games, was a torrential downpour for the whole game. So I think offensively, when you talk about taking care of the football, and it's harder to do early in the year, typically a lot of your turnovers. Penalties, there was very few penalties in the opener. I didn't think either team, there was not a ton of penalties. Last night, I don't know, I got the stats here. I don't think we had we had 4 penalties, So I think that, and I think early in the game against Marshall, we weren't, the first 2 drives, we weren't very disciplined on defense. I think we've played pretty disciplined since then. And again, you're not gonna not make any mental mistakes on OD or special teams. There's gonna be mistakes. But I thought Saturday, in the conditions, we played a pretty clean game. It's 7-0 going in the fourth quarter. we've given up one drive. They've given up probably one or two drives the whole game. Both teams are pretty flawless on special teams. I mean, for the conditions, it looked like a pretty normal game. Yeah, it was a little harder to throw the ball. Yeah, kicking into the wind there was certainly affected, but both punters punted the ball good in the wind. Both punters at times didn't punt the ball good in the wind. So I thought for the conditions, it was a pretty dang clean game. They had 2 fumbles. They recovered them both. We had 1 interception, and even that play wasn't like we threw the ball in the heart. I mean, we threw a pass that our receiver's going for it. A guy makes a good play and it ricochets around. Even our pick wasn't. You'd think it'd be considered the weather. Their turnover would have been a weather when the guy goes and whiffs on a throw. You say, okay, his hands were probably pretty wet right there. So I think we've played a pretty clean game, particularly during the conditions, and we got to continue to play. And again, we got another really good opponent this week. That's 2-0. And another good challenge. We're going to have to play a clean game this weekend and put ourselves in the best chance to win.
Maybe it's not the number of self-inflicted mistakes, but do you feel the timing has been kind of critical in the first 2 losses and that it's played a big part in that?
Not really. I thought we played – Saturday I thought we played an amazing, clean game for the conditions. I really did. The timing, any mistake Saturday, when you don't score any points, any mistake is going to cost you the game. So yeah, we have 1 mistake on defense. We have 1 mistake on offense. What I'm disappointed most in the first 2 games is the start of our defense 2 weeks ago. That was not good. We didn't play good defense first 2 drives. It was bad defense. And then we settled in and played better. And we obviously played much better defense against UC in a much different style game, obviously. And then offensively, I think we've taken care of the football. I don't think we've had a ton of penalties. We've done first week, we moved the ball up and down the field, and this week we didn't. Was it weather related? I think it was. I think if we play UC on a dry night, we're going to move the ball a heck of a lot better than we did. I don't know what the outcome of the game is going to be, but I think we're going to make a lot more plays than we did Saturday in those conditions.
How'd you guys come out of the game injury-wise?
Pretty good. It'd be the same thing. We've had 2 really physical games. Obviously, that was a lot of pounding on our defense because they just kept handing the ball up the middle and a lot of physical contact. But we have same thing as last week. We have some guys that probably won't practice a whole lot, but I think we're going to get everybody to Minnesota.
Speaking of Minnesota, what's your outlook on them?
I think offensively they're similar style. They're doing what they did at Western. They just run the inside zone, the split zone, forever and ever and ever. Much like UC was just going to run the zone play and run it. Different ways, but they're going to pound the ball and play defense, and then they're going to throw it more than UC. Their quarterback's throwing the ball around very nicely for 2 weeks, and they've got a nice complement of receivers, couple returning, then a couple young kids. But they're going to be more balanced, obviously, than UC was, but similar style that they're going to run the ball, and then they're 4 returning starters on the O-line, gigantic. They got a lot of returning starters on defense. They're very physical on defense, and one of their most electric guys, not a returning starter, the Winfield kid who already has a punt return for a touchdown, who has very good genes, is an electric defensive player and an electric returner. So they're a big physical. What do you think of when you think of Big Ten football? The model of what you think, and but I think it'll be more similar to the Cincinnati approach as far as offensively, where they're going to run the ball and they're going to play action here.
Does it help that you have some sort of familiarity with Fleck, given his time in the MAC?
Yeah, I think just when you look at their offense, it looks like Western's different pieces, obviously different players, but it's very similar to what they did when they were at Western. So there is some familiarity there, which is nice, and I'm sure they're saying the same thing from their end. But definitely, it looks when you see what they're doing and how they're doing it, it's like, okay, that's what they did very well at Western. And running the inside zone, their backs are really patient. They really get on people and lean on you and really hit you north and south and kind of wait for you to wear down or wait for you to make a mistake, and they're very persistent with their run game.